of the Recreation and Parks Commission. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was going to do it, but I said, let me see. Got it.
Just testing to see if
It was just a test. Randy, roll call, please.
Yes. Commissioner Gant,
Here.
Commissioner Stolnak,
Here.
Commissioner Lubes,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Watson,
Here.
and Chairperson Moda.
I am here. Thank you. Okay, presentations. Number 1, Employee Spotlight. Joseph Casillas, Park Supervisor. Christopher Hanson's going to be taking.
Yes, come on up, Joseph. So, honorable chair and members of the commission, members of the community and staff that are here, I'm very, very pleased to present this month's Employee Spotlight that we have selected Joseph Casillas. Joseph is our current park supervisor, as all of you know. He has been in the city he's had this current position for 18 years. He also recently completed an acting superintendent role last year when unfortunately Christopher was out for a time. He did a spectacular job. He has a very, very can-do attitude. This is one of the guys on staff that no matter what is asked of him, he jumps, he's happy to do it. And I think all of us in the department feel that way, that he's just really a true team player. I know Christopher is very, very proud to have him on his team. Christopher, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure. When I was asked to spotlight an employee, Joseph Casillas' name came just right out of my head immediately. And I really count on him a lot. He makes me look good.
Yeah, he does.
And I have worked with Joseph for the last 6 years. I am proud to have him on my team as a colleague and friend.
Yeah. Yay.
Thank you.
So I've got a certificate to present to Joseph, and it says, Employee Spotlight of the Month is presented to Joseph Casillas for their exceptional service to our patrons, continuous willingness to lend a hand when needed, and achievements recognized in the month of January 2024 for the city of El Segundo.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Couldn't do it without a great team.
Do you have any few words to say?
Just a great team under your good leadership, working with Chris and trying to create a wow factor for the city.
So he always tries.
And that's our goal. So,
Well,
Thank you.
thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, sure. Take a picture of us.
Okay, try to get Bob in the middle.
I'm photobombing.
Everybody there you go, perfect.
Thank you.
thank you.
I was dead center. I'm photobombed you, so.
I'll see you at Islands. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Quarter in review. Linnea, I guess not.
No, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that this is a new component of the Recreation Park and Library Commission meeting. I'd like to have Linnea present a quarter in review. Just every few months, you guys can get some highlights. I know you get a lot of this information in your packet, but this is just kind of putting it in, letting us tell a little bit more of the story with some photos and giving you guys an opportunity to ask any questions. I'll turn it over to Linnea Palmer, who is our acting superintendent. So she has taken over the role that Aricia was in. Aricia Hester, our recreation superintendent, retired in December, so we wish her the best in all of her new adventures, and we're very pleased to have Linnea stepping in and helping out during that time. So I'll turn it over to Linnea.
Okay, so we just put this together really quickly. It's just a little more than what the reports say that you guys get. Just going through it very quickly, quicker than the summer quarter review. So This will be short, and I think I have the clicker. Okay, so for marketing, we did have our fall brochure come out that highlights September through December. We offered 67 classes, events, programs, renovation updates, library programs. Social media, we had 112 new followers and 69 posts over the quarter. Rec ID renewals start off at the last quarter of the year. We already, in this time, have just under 1,000 El Segundo Recreation IDs sold and 39 Wiseburn IDs. And then in November, we kicked off our brochure for the winter that highlights January through March. So we were very busy this time of year with events. We had a few new ones that were kicked off. We tried to highlight a lot of our taught area that don't get as much attention at some of our larger events. So we had a spooky story time bonfire, partnering with the library, our Pumpkin Palooza, Halloween Frolic, Halloween Taught Bash, our Joy Around the World event, Christmas dinner, and then our farmers markets every Thursday. For youth programming, we had our Spamalot show. We, end of November, had performances, 292 tickets were sold. Thanksgiving break, we had 2 camps, Champ Camp for skaters, and then Art Lab Camp. Winter break camps, we offered both weeks a shorter camp by our rec staff. So we did like the 6 to 12 age for a rec day camp, and then our taught camp for 3 to 5, as well as an art lab camp. For senior and transportation programs, we had our usual senior club activities, transportation programs, which will be highlighted later this afternoon, Meals on Wheels, Thursday movies, and then fitness, dance, and art classes. For sports, we had our kickoff for the youth basketball. We had clinics in early November where the coaches could kind of highlight some of the players, put together some fair teams. 270 participants over all of the ages. We had our Jingle Fest tournament, which is our biannual pickleball tournament. So we had 147 teams sign up. Fall adult leagues, we had 84 teams in pickleball, 12 teams for kickball, and 8 teams in soccer. So one of the big things that this section produced this quarter was field report templates. So Rachel and her staff worked really hard to break out all of our facilities and kind of figure out who the users are at each of the facilities. Are they city programs? Are they soccer? Are they baseball? Are they outside of the Youth Sports Council programs that are renting? So she's going to be keeping that up to date throughout every month. So that's a new thing they worked on. For teens, we did have our teen advisory committee. They put together a haunted escape room at the teen center and had 50 attendees. I was personally scared in it, so not ideal. At Joy Around the World, if you guys were there, they had a booming hot chocolate booth where they provided free hot chocolate for anyone who's at the event. It was elf themed, so kids were very into that. And then they also, I think it's been maybe a year now that they've been offering daily activities. So each month they have a calendar that they publish. Every day has about 2 activities that they try to put on at the teen center to just get different people in the door and get the building activated. So some of those are just movie nights, pizza, games, meditation, Monday night football, just to name a few of the very many. And then in aquatics, so high school is obviously very big there. Our boys water polo team were CIF champions this year, so we had lots of CIF programs, which we are very proud of them for. Da Vinci hosted their 2nd annual boat races, so their science high school puts together cardboard boat regattas, and they race. It's quite entertaining, but you can see in the second picture just how many students come to just watch this program at the pool. And then during the holiday breaks, they had recreation swim hours, and then they've been trying to put on drive-in movies at the pool every other Friday night. So you can kind of see one at the top there. But that's what we've been up to this quarter.
You said you weren't busy.
Yeah. Department is very busy.
Yes. And thank you for that report.
Of course.
Anyone questions? Okay, thank you. Public communications related to commission business only, and that is within the subject matter under the jurisdiction of the commission. Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close public communications. Consent calendar. Approval of the revised minutes of the Recreation and Parks Commission meeting of August 16th, 2023. Commission action required. Anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we can go back to. Step right up. Thank you.
Actually, was hoping Joseph would still be here, but I'm Barbara Boland, 637 Whiting Street, partnering with Monica Davis for the El Segundo Blue Butterfly and El Segundo Blue Butterfly Conservancy. We're the Conservancy. And I haven't been here, we haven't spoken since I think in July, when we gave the last update. We were about to do the tours at Dockweiler of the butterfly, and it was really successful. We had probably about 75 people. People came who had never seen the butterfly. It was absolutely perfect, so it was really great. I really wanted to thank the support of El Segundo Parks, Ali and Chris, and specifically Joseph. Our community should be really proud of what Joseph has contributed to our El Segundo Blue Butterfly meetings. We've expanded out a bit. We've now part of the El Segundo Blue Butterfly Coalition, which runs from Bayona Creek all the way to Palos Verdes. There are a lot of different people working along the shore, building habitat. They're very excited to have us become a part, El Segundo. They've been waiting for El Segundo to become involved. And specifically also within that group is another group called the South Bay Parkland Conservancy. Now, those are the ones who we met with more recently, and Joseph identified the site where we will be building our first habitat. And it's starts at the 600 block of Loma Vista. Joseph, it's that berm that's all along there, a memory. There's no grass on it, but there will be water. He's working on all that. And at this point, we're trying to figure out whether or not we get the community involved with the first planting that Chevron generously provided $2,000 for. The plants were seeded in July, and they're ready to be planted now. So we want to get them in before they disappear. They're ours, but we want to get them planted. So we have to determine, due to waivers, et cetera, in the community, whether we should just go and get them in now and then have the community more involved in the next group of planting. So basically, thank you so much. We're making progress, and it's really exciting. So thank you very much. And thank you to Joseph.
And I just wanted to thank you, and Monica as well. I know you guys have been really, really passionate about this, and I agree. I think Joseph's really stepped up to the plate. It sounds like you guys are making some really good progress, so I'm very happy for all of that.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to.
Thank you for speaking. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, to the consent calendar. Approval of the revised minutes of the Recreation Parks Commission meeting of August 16th, 2023. Anyone?
I'll move for approval. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. That's 5-0.
Okay.
Thank you. Now approval of the minutes of the Recreation Parks Commission meeting of October 18th, 2023.
I'll motion to approve. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is 5-0. Thank you. That was a long time ago.
Feels like
Yeah.
forever.
Okay, unfinished business, Recreation Parks renovation -LPA update. Ally.
Yes, Honorable Chair and members of the commission, I did want to provide an update. As you know, we worked with LPA on the first part of sort of a two-part process in beginning our Phase 1 Recreation Park renovations. So they worked with us to create conceptual designs and rough order of magnitude costs. They've done a couple of presentations. And so they completed that first piece of that with their presentation to council late fall, early winter of last year. So we began having discussions about now the second part of that project, which is an additional contract for contract management to enter into the actual design and construction drawings for the two projects that have been slated for moving forward first, which is the renovation of the teen center, the basketball courts, and the skate park, and then the 2 fields, softball field and Brett Field, keeping in mind that the council has voted to put a hold on Stevenson at this point because there's some significant issues with the flood water or the rainwater that are tied to the pump station there. That facility was actually built, it's doing what it was built to do. And making any changes or trying to eradicate that issue will be a significant undertaking. So I think it's something we're gonna have to look at a little bit further and look at funding sources and whatnot. So for right now, those are the kind of 3 areas we're gonna be looking at. So we asked LPA to submit a proposal, a written proposal for this second part of this project. And when that proposal came in, there were several exclusions and different things that they weren't going to be able to do. So we have now entered into discussions with a second agency to potentially consider as well. That is MIG. So they are, they toured the facility last week. They met with staff, and you know, so I look forward to getting their proposal as well. And then what we plan to do is sit down and look at them both, and not just look at cost, but what are we getting for that cost? You know, what are our priorities? So we hope to bring a contract to the city council on February 20th. That's my goal, so that we can move forward and really get moving on, you know, those projects, break ground this year, and, you know, hopefully get those things done. So I did want to provide an update on that, and that concludes that report. I don't, if anybody has any questions, glad to answer them. Yes.
I have a question. I know it wasn't part of the recreation park renovation, but we had some folks that came a couple months ago and mentioned that the swing sets and the
Yes.
you know, and so we were going to go, I think, and look and see if there was budget in the regular budget for that, because it would be a maintenance issue. So I'm wondering just if we have an update on that.
Yes, so Christopher is working on getting quotes. I think he's, I'll let him fill you in, because we did look into that.
Yes, I've approached two vendors, and I've gotten one concept back, looking for another one to come back, and they'll be providing costs as well. And we're looking at the total clubhouse playground, at least the smaller tot lot. And because the rubber's in bad shape and it needs replacing as well, and some of the equipment has broken, and so we're looking at the whole playground.
So that's great. Thank you.
Yes, so it will likely, I'm aiming to get those quotes back so that we can look at potentially including it in next year's budget if we can identify some funding. So we'll work on that once we get that information back.
Oh, so does that mean that there was not funding put in for just maintenance of?
We do have maintenance money, but this, if we're gonna replace, it's gonna be a significantly higher cost, but I think that's what we talked about. Instead of using that money on just kind of a maintenance item, that maybe we look at really just asking the council at this point to fund the replacement of the entire tot lot. It's in dire shape, so.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, it hasn't been that long. I mean, maybe I'm just old, but I remember when it was, you know, it used to be the wheel that went around and everything. So I'm just wondering, like, when we do projects like that, do we then forecast out when, you know, what's the mean time before failure or between failure, so that we can put budget aside for it?
Yeah, so we actually have a equipment replacement fund. So every year, the city puts money into that for each of those items in the department. So we do have like a playground equipment, but it's already slotted for certain playgrounds. So if this playground isn't the next one in the cycle, then we would go and ask for money for this, because the money that's already been allocated has to be used for that project, unless we go back and ask for them to make a change.
So does that mean that this playground just got more wear and tear than we expected for it to not be in?
Yeah, I think, well, and sometimes with a lot of the pieces, the manufacturer will stop making those parts, so it's not even necessarily as much that it's getting more use, it's that if that part is broken and they're no longer manufacturing it, or we're having difficulty, Jeanette can probably speak to this, then that's the issue.
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I think Dave had
I'm
comments.
sorry. I should look that way.
The idea of moving the skate park has been taken off the table?
I have informed the city manager, that the rec park renovations desire is to not move the skate park. So when I eventually do my report at the city council, I will, report that to the city council. That we've done the survey, we've talked in the rec park commission, yes. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
New business. El Segundo Connect Pilot Transportation Program Review. Ryan Delgado.
Yes, so Honorable Chair and members of the commission, I've asked Ryan to present tonight just a recap of the pilot transportation program that he and the Transportation Subcommittee worked very diligently to prepare and implement, so I will turn it over to Ryan.
Good evening, commissioners. Good to see you. Happy New Year to everyone. Yes, the El Segundo Connect, to do a little review and analysis on our program. For some refreshers, the pilot began August 23rd and ran through November 15th. The cost of the program was $32,760 per month for a total of $98,287. Prop A funds were utilized for this program. Prop A funds are a half-cent tax raise that LA County did in the early 90s. All of that funding that's collected is dispersed to municipalities for transportation purposes. So Prop A funds do come from LA County. During the 61 days that we ran the program, Swoop and their staff collected ridership data throughout the program running. We offered 2 routes throughout El Segundo that ran from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then again, we were partnered with Swoop Transportation. During the program, we ran 2 vans as well throughout the routes. Goals of El Segundo Connect was to reconnect the east side of PCH with businesses downtown on the west side. We previously ran the lunchtime shuttle that, did a really good job of transporting people from businesses to lunchtime locations, so that was a big part of this program. First mile, last mile, that is a transportation term of, the most difficult things to get people in public transportation is getting them from their house to the metro, bus, public transportation offerings, and then once you've utilized public transportation, getting from there to your destination. So this was a way to bridge that first mile, last mile gap. If you work at a business over here, you're able to take it to a bus stop, the metro station, so we had stops in those areas. We've expanded. El Segundo's been growing the last dozen years or so, and we wanted to connect to the sports facilities that have been built over those years, including Wiseburn and El Segundo Aquatic Center, Toyota Sports Center, as well as Campus El Segundo. And then one of the cool features of it is Swoop provided QR codes that showed the actual location of the transit vans. This is the blue route. We operated this from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. During this time, more of the focus again was connecting east side of PCH to downtown El Segundo. We had 16 stops throughout the area. 567 unique riders used El Segundo Connect during this time. Our busiest time was from noon to 1 p.m., which is lunchtime, so makes sense, the data shows. And then our most popular stops were Maple and Nash with 88 riders, Grand and Main Street, 59 riders, and then Nash and Mariposa Avenue with 66 riders. And then our red route, got to thank Kelly Watson, Commissioner Watson, for putting this route together. She thankfully had this in her files from way early on as we began talking about this. This route operated from 2 to 6 p.m. Swoop was really good at adjusting some of the routes and making accommodations. I think it was the second or third day of the program, we actually adjusted where the first bus started the route to Maple and Main Street. We had 626 unique riders during this time. Busiest time was from 2 to 3 p.m. Most popular stop was Maple in Maine with 139 riders, Maple and Center with 162, and then Campus El Segundo with 108 rides. And that one we offered, I believe it was 10 stops for this route. These are our ridership statistics. The last time before shutdown during COVID, the last 4 months that we operated the lunchtime shuttle was August, September, October, and November. We had a total of 1,336 riders during that time. Again, that's with our old lunchtime shuttle that kind of operated the blue route. So that was more of just a downtown specific route at that time. El Segundo Connect during this time had 1,193 riders, which is pretty good numerically. We did have some additional hours of operation, but our ridership was good. And then the August and November numbers I'm pretty happy with, considering we didn't operate for the first 15 and last 15 days of that month as well. Again, program financials, our allocated budget for all of Prop A is $493,746. You can see kind of the breakdown. We operate our Lyft, Dial Ride, Dr. Dial Ride service, our spring break and summer beach shuttles, our recreation trips for camps. The Teen Center is going on a snowboard trip in the next few weeks, and they'll be utilizing the funds for this trip. We have our obligations to Beach City Transmit, and then it also goes to pay administration and staffing fees. With our number of riders and what it costs to operate El Segundo Connect, our per ride fee was quite high at $79.77. And then some of the feedback we received, route adjustment, kind of mentioned that earlier. After speaking with some of the sports teams, starting the bus made the most sense right near the high school as water polo gets out. I have to thank Swoop. They were really responsive to our route adjustments and very quick to operate. And I'd like to thank Alex and Aaron. They actually came down the first day of operation, and we're at every single stop throughout. We made a couple adjustments to the route actually on that first launch day. We had originally had a stop at the corner of Grand and Richmond, and we ended up adjusting that stop over to Richmond and Franklin because it kind of pulled in a few more restaurants over there, and just with how the town has changed with some of the outdoor seating and things like that, it made for a safer drop-off. So I'd definitely like to thank the team at Swoop for that. Real-time tracking of shuttle locations. One of the things with the GPS that what Swoop was able to do, and it's still up on our website if you go look, is they kind of gave us kind of an old school bus route. At this stop, the shuttle should be approaching at this time, and it was very accurate. I actually had one person come down to give me some feedback, and he kind of used that and actually had it printed out, so he knew where the shuttles were going to be depending on his location to take the stop. So that was some really good feedback to get from a person. There was some requests for additional stops, Imperial Avenue and Aviation Boulevard, trying to get to the metro station down there, and then the airport. Always the airport. We can't ever find good ways in and out of LAX. And then the last one was actually a quote from an email I received. As your pilot end date approaches, we'd like to thank you for always allowing us to use your service to travel through El Segundo community. The service has offered us many valuable opportunities to connect with local businesses, grocery shop, practice safety skills, and more. We hope that you consider extending this service because of the convenience and inclusivity it provides. A big thank you to the drivers, including Grace, Henry, Jesus, Fidel, and Virginia. So that actually came from a group who works with adults to transport them around town and meet various businesses and kind of learn how to get around on their own. And then some areas for improvement. In terms of the marketing, be more visible with our signage. We knew this wasn't a permanent program, but that was some of the feedback we received, is having more visible metal signs that look like a traditional bus stop signage. We did have some signs out there. They were on the smaller side and included QR codes. Some of the other feedback that I got from a couple people who utilized the program was that their HR departments, whatever company they worked at on the east side of PCH, didn't push that information out. So we had sent that to some of the businesses through Chamber of Commerce, but I'm not sure that message got relayed from the HR side of the businesses to the employees. So building that bridge and really just getting the word out because we need riders. And then do a bigger launch. There was a little stumbling with our program at the start. We didn't have a proper launch. So invite more stakeholders down, get all the commissioners, council, local community groups for opening today, and get them really down there so they can see how the program will impact them positively. Look into working with an outside market agency was kind of an idea the Transportation Committee bounced around. Transportation is a big thing, and there's so many different avenues. And so, what are all the different avenues we can go down? So try and get some outside help with design, signage, and how we're pushing that out. Our route times and stops, this was a pilot program to collect data. So we want to look at, did we run the most efficient routes? Were we at the best locations? Can we adjust the timing of the program, which I think some of the data shows we can adjust the hours of operation. And then forecasting. One of the things in our meeting we talked about is, since COVID, the work from home has really impacted some of the offices on the east side of PCH. So what is going to go on in that area? Is there other things we can service? How can we get the stakeholders and community groups who are in that area and get their information so that we service their needs? So possibly hosting community meetings to answer those questions. And that is kind of it. I want to say thank you to Kelly, thank you to Jeanette, and maybe he's listening, but thank you to Lee as well, because all three of them played an integral part in getting this program up and running.
Okay, anyone have questions?
I just had one question. On the part where the pilot program was running 61 days, and you showed a cost of roughly $32,000 a month, but overall $98,000. Where's that $33,000 difference?
It would be the two shuttles. I would have to go dig. Do you know that one? Because that was our 3-month contract.
I know it was split up, like half was in August and then half in November. So
Yeah.
it's like the 2 months and then
Because
half and half.
September,
So it
October,
was-
and then the two halves. That's
3
right.
months.
Okay,
in total.
because I was just
Yeah.
seeing, because it showed 61 days
Yeah.
on it, and so then I was like, it's
Only
was
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday
So
only.
61 days of operation between that 3-month time period.
okay.
Anyone else? Kelly?
So I wanted to add some stuff. So first of all, a big thank you to Ryan, because he's the person who made this happen. And as you all know, it's something I've been pushing for many, many years. And, just to kind of go backwards for a second, one of the reasons we don't have a lunchtime shuttle anymore is because even though we had a fleet of vehicles, which we no longer have, we had a hard time finding drivers. So that's why the program ultimately ended. And so this opportunity, because of Swoop and the fact that we now are outsourcing our beach shuttle and our recreation shuttle, it was an opportunity to consider bringing this back. So obviously getting the pilot approved and having the funds to do it was really an exciting, opportunity. And we collected a lot of data, which is great. As Ryan said, there were a lot of things that, need to be improved. The marketing is a huge one. The fact that the vehicle itself did not have very big signage, so nobody knew, I'm envisioning something that says free shuttle or El Segundo shuttle slapped across it in big letters so people know. If you remember the one we used to have, it was very clear that this was a community shuttle that you were welcome to join. So I think there's still opportunity. I do think though that the cost is pretty prohibitive, and so we've got a couple of questions. First, I know there are always, every year, gonna be these Prop A funds, and there's a lot of other things on the list that have to get met by it. Do we have the funding to continue to do another tranche with this at this point? I guess that's a Linnea question.
Well, yeah, I think, I can let Linnea answer, but are you talking about doing another pilot, like in the spring, or you're talking
Well,
about?
it depends on when the funds,
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
yeah, you
what
can.
funding is available.
Yeah, funding
In,
for this year is.
in what was given to us this fiscal year, no, we're pretty tapped out with how it's stretched apart. We do have a lapsing amount that we got an extension on, technically 2-year extension now, that expires in July 1st. We are trying to get an electric shuttle with it. That's been an ongoing process. But the only issue with that is it ends July 1. So it's over 400,000. And then if we don't use it, it's gone. But
And so the electric shuttle, is that happening?
yes.
Yes.
Ah.
So the council approved that project last year. We've had some issues with the delivery and things like that, but that's what it's slated for. If we wanted to change that, we would have to go back to the city council, and potentially, I mean, it sounds like we could work it out with Metro, but I think the council's waiting for this shuttle to come.
Because, so, I guess I'm curious as to why we would invest in a shuttle at this point, given that we have this outsourced, opportunity. Yes, it's more expensive, but owning a shuttle still doesn't solve the problem of drivers.
Yeah, I think that the idea is that the shuttle wouldn't just be used for these purposes, but the city would use it. So we've had recently a couple of events where we've had to either hire or help hire shuttles for Little League Parade was one of the instances, the one that we had. Also, they like to use that to shuttle the council places. I guess it's something we had in the past, that they have an interest in, and they've approved it. So what I would.
At our old fleet, we still had one of them held back for that purpose. I remember when Elias took one.
Yes,
do
we
one.
have
So they need-
88, that's the natural gas vehicle.
Okay, yeah.
So council feels they need 2 for that purpose?
That was the recommendation from the Public Works Director before I entered this position, and he has got council support.
Okay.
But potentially, if you wanted to do another pilot next year, then there would be funding for that. But you would have to look at your other programs and see,
Right.
if that was something you
Well,
wanted to do.
Exactly.
Because you're gonna need an ongoing allotment. It's great, we have this 400,000 that we have, and we have to quickly spend, but that's not the issue. The issue is, if you need that amount of money every year, then you will not have the funding for it.
Exactly.
It's not there.
And I would prefer that so this was going to be my next recommendation, is, we did this, staff and a committee of people, and, it was scrappy, and we did a pilot, which is great. This is not the level that we should be doing this at. Like, there are, as Ryan was saying, a lot more stakeholders that I think need to come to the table who have transportation needs. And so I would love to establish, I'd love to be able to do more work before we actually spend any more money on it.
Sure.
Even though I know there are members of the community that are now very excited and dying for this to continue. But I feel like we need to bring it up a level, because we're not going to be able to just sort of put up our own little plastic, signs at the bus stops. Like, this needs to be higher level. I think we need someone from Public Works involved. I think we need folks from different stakeholders in the community. It would be great if Marcia from the chamber was on. So I was going to recommend that we put together or that we take the transportation committee that we have, but make it an agendized, more formal, and bring in more stakeholders. So someone from environmental committee. I know when Corey Zuppo used to live here and she was on the environmental committee, she was a big proponent of this. They know about grants, they know about opportunities, so somebody from there, someone from Public Works, so that we don't have this sort of disconnect as to who shuttles. And by the way, one of the days in the pilot, our shuttle got commandeered without them telling us to do one of these events, and literally we left kids standing at a bus stop. And it was a Friday, so staff weren't here, so I got that call of where is our shuttle today? So, you know, so we absolutely need stakeholders from the schools, we need stakeholders from all the different places where, you know, and we'd love to have more business buy-in too. So if we had some of the developers who are trying to, you know, sell that office space, it would be really great if they were at the table. So I was just thinking that, you know, if we had funds we have to spend, that's one thing. If we don't, and we're really gonna take a step back, I think we should take a step back with a bigger sort of stakeholder community to make this thing work.
And that, I think that's a good recommendation. I think that's why I know the shuttle, there's other things, you know, that we could maybe do that with the money we're spending on the electric shuttle, but it was like, we had to spend it quickly. You know, we didn't have this program in place at that time. So I think you're right. I think it's maybe take a step back. Transportation Committee, are you thinking of like a CCB, or are you thinking just a community group?
Well, a CCB, like we're doing with aquatics,
Yes.
is really useful, I think. Like, we've been saying things on aquatics for 100 years, and we suddenly get a CCB, suddenly everything's moving forward because it's at the CCB level. So, and if that means then we also get a city council person on that committee, that would be amazing, because it seems like then that would help facilitate things getting done.
I agree, and I think the key, I think having Public Works is really key, because I was actually out with Cheryl Ebert today touring the plunge for another, and I started talking about this, and she's like, well, I just think we're not connecting enough, and we need to, and I'd be glad to work with Ryan and whoever, and it sounds like they've already got some efforts. She's telling me about bicycle lanes and this and that.
Oh, well, look at that, because we've been talking about that too.
They-
Funny that.
Yes, so they're doing that on El Segundo Boulevard. They have this whole plan. So, yeah, just connecting, bringing the minds together. I think this is a great start. This is a great brainchild, and we just need to go back to the drawing board and keep working on it. But I'd love to hear the other commissioners too, feedback or any thoughts they have.
The $400,000 is one time, and that has to be spent by July 1st, right?
Correct.
The $500,000 from Prop A that we got in 23-24, is that a fairly consistent number?
Yes.
It's approximately
Yes.
500 a year.
Yeah, it's based off of population.
Yeah.
And the program financials of that 500, is that, so we spent about 100 on this program,
For 3 months.
right? So do you annually, prior to the adoption of the budget, kind of earmark the Prop A funds? You do? And
Yes.
So this 100 could potentially continue to be earmarked for a program, right?
Yes, but you would, well, I'll let you speak to that.
I guess what I'm getting at is kind of what you guys are all talking about is, so we have enough for 3 months right now
Yeah,
at $80 a ride, which is not sustainable.
it's not sustainable.
So you have to drive up the number so you can get the cost down per rider. But I'm just thinking, if we don't do it in fiscal year 24-25, there's actually 100 sitting here that carries over, correct?
No, it doesn't carry over from year to year.
Prop A? Prop A should, right?
No, so I
Doesn't
think we're
Prop A is-
misunderstanding the budget. So there's 400,000, I think, that we get annually, but we use it for multiple programs. We use it for multiple programs, so Ryan can share the beach shuttle, all
right.
those things.
Right, right,
there's
there's 500.
100,000.
Yeah, so there's 500 from Prop A.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding is Prop A is not part of the 400 that has to be spent by July 1st, right? That's
No,
separate.
it is.
It's Prop A, but it's Prop A money
Right.
left from like
an extra,
2020 when we
right.
stopped
Second.
and we didn't spend it.
Totally. So you got this 400, which is kind of, I want to take aside because it is a one-time.
It's a one-time,
But the
yeah.
500 is consistent. So I guess what I'm saying is, if
So
we don't,
100
if
of
we
that-
don't, yeah, 100 of that 500, if we don't do another pilot or we don't spend it on Connect, will be earmarked for something in transportation.
Yes.
So can we, if this is a really, if there's a lot of positive momentum in here, can we possibly not earmark that 100 for something different? Because then all of a sudden this kind of all goes away. If we don't at least
Keep the
earmark that 100, it's not enough probably for the whole year, obviously, it was only 3
No,
months.
right.
But if we don't at least earmark it ahead of time, then you'll be back at square one once you want to get back up and running. just something to think about.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
so if you're just gonna put 100,000, it's 3 months, what are you gonna do with the other months in the year?
Right.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I wanna know maybe you can explain a little bit more where you wanna go with this.
Well, as it currently stands, this program would cost $400,000 if we ran it the whole year, as is, approximately,
Not
right?
really, because,
There,
we wouldn't need the second shuttle in the summer. So it really would be probably twice. It'd probably be 200, only because you've got a fall season of sports and you've got a spring season of sports, and then those stop. So for example, January doesn't. Now, the lunchtime bit of it would be
Okay.
all year. So you're right, so maybe it'd be like 300.
I guess I'm trying to get ahead of what you guys are after and make sure that we don't, that 2 years from now, we're sitting here and all 500 of this is being spent on other stuff and we don't have anything to do with this program. It's kind of just, I'm just bringing that up. I don't think there's an answer to that, but it does. Prior to your starting this, prior to the 23-24 fiscal year, was that 100 designated for Connect, or did that just kind of just happen because of all the momentum?
That's a great question.
That
Where
I
did
don't know.
I know some of it because, what did I send you, Jeanette, for the salaries? Was it 60,000 for the year?
I could look it up.
I can't remember, but some of it went to like driver salaries, maintenance, gas, repairs for any of the
When we
vehicles.
were running
So part of the Prop A funds does go to, 5 shuttles. There was always some sort of maintenance issue with one of them. New tires, gas, brakes, transmission went out on one of them once upon a
Isn't that covered
time.
in miscellaneous expenses and admin and staffing though? Yeah, that should be covered down there.
Yeah,
Okay.
most of that is, the miscellaneous expenses was operations, gasoline charge, insurance and bonds, vehicle operating charge, telephones, advertisement, and cleaning and consultants.
I think we can do a little digging on our end, me and Linnea, or Linnea and I.
I think you guys know what I'm after.
Yeah, I think,
I don't have a lot of skin in this game, but there's a lot of people in this room who do, and I'm trying to not lose that momentum. And if that 100 gets earmarked for something else in 24-25, we've lost the momentum. That's
we
my
are the
point.
people that earmark it, so we would, if the commission wanted us to, and the transportation committee wanted us to, earmark it for that, there's a certain time period we have to use it or else we lose it. So we want to just make sure. You keep giving me a funny look about that. These are lapsing, right now, the issue is we have lapsing funds. We have funds that will go away.
Yeah, I thought that was the 400 though. The 500 should be.
It is,
So
but I'm
this-
saying if we
That's all.
earmark it and
That
don't
gives you
use
the
it next
backup?
year, it will eventually, we can't just hold on to it and continue to let it build.
When we're in the budget planning process, like for this 23-24, we looked at what we spent on different programs, like what we ended up spending on Lyft for the year. Do we think those numbers are going to grow? What we did on trips? Do we have more camps that are being offered this summer? Do they want to do more teen trips? Anything like that, and that's how we kind of divide it out and try to figure out the funding. When this pilot program came to be was actually after our initial budget cycle, and we had to do budget adjustments to try to fill that void in that account. So it can be done. It just comes with planning. So we have to have kind of foresight on what we want to do for the next fiscal year in about March,
Okay,
April-ish.
so that's like in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So that leads to my question after all this diatribe, which is, what is the plan for the 500 for 24-25? And will you designate some for this program?
Well, I think that's what we need to get some direction and opinion from the commission on if they would like us to look into that. If it's a priority, that's why we're here. And I think you do, have to look into, the cost, this is money we get, it's from the county, it's not from our general fund, but it's still money that we're responsible for. So I had a concern of the cost of, $80 is a lot of money. However, on the other side of that, this funding is limited in what you can use it for. So maybe the transportation committee sits down and goes over what are all the potential uses and really just make sure we're using this money in the best way. I think the shuttle program is great. Do I feel comfortable telling the council I'm spending $80 to take a kid to soccer practice? Probably not, and I'm just being honest, so.
I think going with what Kelly was kind of saying earlier too, about getting a bigger group, a bigger
Yeah.
bit of stakeholders, we are right by the airport. We have tons of hotels. We didn't even tap into that side. So I think EDAC, Economic Development, is a good committee to involve, because I think that might open some avenues to our downtown hotels, because, again, we kind of had this focus, and as we were doing this program, we learned, that there is potential interest from some of the hotels. There is some interest from some of the other businesses to maybe monetarily participate in this as well.
Okay.
So we don't know, but, I think that's some doors we can try and bridge those, because there is a potential economic side of it. Who knows, we get a community stakeholder meeting, they go, we want to get to Topgolf. How do we do that? And that might be involving hotels, and the possibilities, we could get a no, we can get a, here's some money, keep it running.
So you're open, you meaning you collectively are open to the possibility that we're not limited to Prop A money to run this program potentially. If this gets going, the council could put general fund money, the council could do anything they wanted, you could get, okay, cool, thank you.
But that's why we want to do it right. Like, I don't want to go to council right now, say, give us 400,000 and we'll run it all year. Because I think that, we made up this route. We, we did our own little marketing, we did something that was a pilot, but now I think it needs a level of professionalism.
Some more
that,
research is what you're
some
getting
more
at. We
people at
we
the
have to get
table.
more people involved.
Absolutely.
The other thing you could potentially do is, for this 100,000, right, that you're talking about, Dave, for next year, is maybe we hire a consultant, or we bring someone in to work with us to develop a plan for this. I mean, that's an option as well. So then you're still kind of using that money towards this goal, but that, again, we can have those discussions at the committee level and then come back, but I would ask that we come back to the commission and get their blessing on whatever we plan to do moving ahead. I think it's
I love
important.
that. So how do we phrase that in a motion, or do you need a motion, or is this enough that we've had this conversation?
To take it back to committee?
To the Transportation Committee, yes.
I don't think there's anything other than this direction,
Yes,
right?
we will
Let's
do
take
that.
it back to the committee.
And what about making the committee a CCB? Is that?
Your recommendation, and then we would go to council to request.
Yeah, I'd have to request, if it's gonna be a CCB, I'd have to request that from the council. But you can ask me to look into that option and report back to the commission on feasibility of that, yes.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
That direction is taken.
Okay.
Oh, Julie, did you have feedback?
Yeah, I just had something on it. And this was even before this report came out. Micro Metro, or Metro Micro, is looking into their ridership program. There was an article about it, that their cost right now is at $42 per rider. They're charging $1 per rider, and they're looking at, are we going to keep all the routes that we have, or are we going to cancel some routes and possibly increasing the rider fee to $250, which is still not going to cover it. But they were having a meeting, I believe it was January 9th, to try and determine what routes are going to stay and what routes are going to go. And I don't know how our numbers are for El Segundo on that. I see plenty of the vans around, but we're not the only ones that are, looking at these high fees per ride and not getting the money back for it. So, Metro's even trying to figure this whole thing out.
And I think that speaks to Kelly's, I think what you're trying to say, Kelly, is we want to get, instead of us doing competing work, how can we work together? Maybe they do, right.
Because that was one of the programs that we looked at early on before we even had the LIFT program, and we were promoting that, and I assume we're still stakeholders in the Metro Micro.
Yeah, we've, because originally when it launched, we didn't have service area for Metro Micro, so and I think that's what it goes to, Julie, because if I recall correctly, our area of operation for Metro Micro was a pilot. The whole Metro Micro itself is a pilot. That's why they were charging $1, because I think they were essentially doing what we're doing, is trying to get into the data. I know one meeting I was at several years ago that, our general area, when it comes to Metro transportation, has some low ridership numbers. And I saw a document recently, like they were editing the MTA route that runs along PCH recently. It used to kind of hook in to that Whole Foods area and run along the backside, and there was a few stops along there, and they've removed those, and they just have stops right along PCH in front of the area there. So, and they just undertook one of their largest studies in like 20 years to reroute all of their transportation and see really if they are running as efficiently as possible. And I think going back to that forecasting idea, you know, there's more metro lines coming in. You have, you know, app service, whether it's Lyft, Uber. There still are a lot of metro bicycles. If you're ever down at the beach, tons of people on those. Scooters are available. So transportation is, and we said this at the start of it, continuously evolving. And I think Metro is going through that evolution, growth and pains. And we're trying to do the same thing here with our programs as efficiently as possible.
I had a couple comments and questions.
Julie, anything else?
No, I'm fine.
Go ahead.
Thanks. So I had a couple of things. I definitely agree with Kelly that making it a form, I know it's more work and staff. 'Cause I'm sit on that side of the table too.
That's okay.
Formal CCB would be helpful, and including someone from the school district if possible, because we're giving a lot of their students rides to sports, and that could be a potential funding opportunity. Because I do agree that $80 a ride is ridiculous, but I think with trimming down the routes, and we've talked about this in our subcommittee, I just want everyone to know we're aware, but, you know, trimming down the routes, making it more efficient, engaging other stakeholders for additional funding, like the school district. We're driving their water polo, their CIF champion water polo team to practice could be an option. And I think earmarking it for future funding would be great. And then I do have one question. I just don't want to leave tonight without addressing this 400,000 that's on the table for an electric shuttle. I hear to shuttle council people around, which I'm the newbie. I know I don't know where they're going, but an electric shuttle can't cost $400,000. And where I'm going with this, and I'm totally biased, is now the girls water polo players and the girls water polo team and swim are without rides. But we did provide it to other sports, boys water polo. So I'm just wondering, is there part of that 400,000 we can use to keep this going for the next few months, finish out the school year, still work on trimming it down, making better marketing, you know, creating a better plan without just leaving this money on the table or spending it all for an electric shuttle and leaving other athletes, other community members without a ride. I understand it was a pilot. Pilots can't be forever, but
What's the cost per ride on a $400,000 electric shuttle for whatever they're using it for?
What do you mean, what's the cost per ride?
for you to break it down
shuttling
by ridership.
City council members around town.
It's
Are-
not
are
just
we-
for
are we
city
gonna measure
council.
that?
It's not just for city
I just-
council, it's for any city use that we would have, so
City
like
use.
this, taking the seniors down to Candy Cane Lane to see the lights. I mean, I think that.
Which we didn't do, even though I wanted to.
I know. So, and I know we've had issues in the past with drivers. I have heard this from everybody. However, I am not the person to say it didn't work, so we're never gonna try it again. I've talked with staff about potentially seeing if it could be something where we offer staff that are already folks that are already on staff, additional money if they are able to get their Class B license. I understand it's very difficult to do, so we're looking into all that. I don't think we should just say we're never gonna be able to hire a driver again. I don't think that's really accurate. My guess is that we would be able to do that. So I know it didn't work for a while, but, and the shuttle, the council is, we have sold it to them. So, you know, I'm not opposed to going back and having conversations with them. I just don't, it doesn't sound like we're ready to continue the,
Well, I'm not
Pilot.
saying, I mean, I'm jokingly saying squash the
Right.
shuttle, but it can't possibly cost $400,000. Yeah, I mean, that's,
I feel like it was
Absurd.
initially like 270,000 maybe.
still a very expensive shuttle, but so we have, you know, we have at least 100,000 to get us 3 more months of this. I know I'm not great at math, and you're all looking at me like I'm crazy, but there's 100,000, at least 130,000 on the table.
so I'd have to have Lene look into it. What is the cost? What do we really have left? Could we use it for now because when we addressed the lapsing fund issue, we had to assign it to a project. Is that right, or is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's assigned to the shuttle. It's been assigned since prior to this fiscal year. So in other words, we've had trouble with the delivery of the shuttle, but it's already designated as our use of funds, so I don't know, we could look into it though, certainly. If you guys feel you'd be ready, or if you wanted to try it, you know.
I just hate that we're leaving other athletes
Right.
without the rides and opportunities we've given some, especially with potential money just sitting.
So if you had the 100,000, then how would you transfer those, because how does that serve a different group in those 3 months?
Well, it's girls' water polo season as we speak right now.
The seasons are changing, so you have different
Or
athletes.
swim.
Got
Swim
it.
would have
Okay.
much more, I mean,
Okay,
and
that's it.
I'm obviously I only know aquatics, so
Right.
swim, in theory, right, we're gonna double the athletes, so that could potentially boost this ridership number up significantly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Soccer at campus too for the
Yeah.
frosh soft teams. They all have to practice and play at campus because they can't even play at the high school.
Well, let us look into it. I'll have Linnea look into it a little bit more tomorrow, and then we may have to call a meeting with the transportation subcommittee quickly if we want to do that. But we can look at that option. I'm open to that. Ryan, are you open to that?
I don't wanna waste money by any, if it's sitting there, it's not, and we can't use it for anything else.
Right.
Might as well spend it while we fine tune.
Yes.
Okay, you have some direction.
Yes.
Okay, is there anything else, Jeanette?
No, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you for that report.
Thank you.
I think we're gonna be moving in a direction now, so that's
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Thank you. We are going to reports of subcommittees. Aquatic Subcommittee. Who's up?
We meet on Monday.
Okay, so no meeting. All right. Transportation Subcommittee. Did we?
I think we just had it.
I think we've had enough of that one for today. All right, Youth Sports Council meets tomorrow night, so no report. Recreation Parks Renovation Subcommittee.
Next week or week after?
That's the following week, right?
Yes. So we haven't met either since our
And
last.
I'm not even sure there's gonna be one then, is there?
Yes, I think I told Brandy I want to have one at least so I can update you on the proposals.
Okay. With that, we'll go to Director's Report. Ally?
Yes, so in addition to my attached report, which all of you have hopefully had an opportunity to take a look at, I did want to just highlight a couple of things. As was mentioned earlier, Rachel spent a tremendous amount of time and did a fantastic job creating a spreadsheet that shows the use of every field and facility. I think she did a 6-month time period from, I believe it was through it was from June to December, I believe. Yeah, June or July through December of last year. And we have that available, so we are going to be sharing that with the community. Right now, it's a giant spreadsheet, so we're trying to figure out how to do that. But the more important thing is, it's going to be happening moving forward at any time. Any of you could call and say, who was on the field on Tuesday at 4? Oh, it was supposed to be so-and-so, and they weren't there. At the commission meeting, or the council meeting tomorrow night, we're gonna be talking about doing random audits. So we're gonna have staff going out and randomly auditing to make sure people are using the space when they say they are, and/or letting us know that they're not gonna be using it to see if we can, put someone else on the field there. So this is something we've been asking for a very long time, and I really give a lot of props to Rachel for getting it done. It took her a very long time. Now that it's in place, we're gonna be able to move forward and keep that up. So on that, any questions on that? No? Okay. I also wanted to just give you some staffing updates. So, Linnea is in the acting position now for Recreation Superintendent. However, last night at the council meeting, the HR director got approval from the city council to change the title of that position to Rec Manager. It will become an at-will, unrepresented position. And we anticipate that we will post that, or it will go out to the community tomorrow. So I anticipate that we'll have a lot of interest, both internally and externally in that position. I did opt to go open versus in, promotional only. I just felt that was the best opportunity for me to really make an objective decision about what's gonna be best for the department. So we'll be doing that. We're looking at having those interviews, those first interviews, maybe mid-February. And then, you know, with my departmental interviews shortly thereafter, moving this quickly. It's a really, really key position, and it's really been, Lene has really hit the ground running, obviously. She's got a lot of background, and her staff have been very supportive as well, so. We do have, aquatics manager interviews are finally happening, so that's next week, I believe. And, so we're looking forward to moving ahead with that. And biggest thing I have is to get that person on board and start working on the business plan for the facilities, because they're gonna, I am very happy to say they are going, everything's moving forward. The bids are out right now, it's out right now. I think the bids are all due on Tuesday. So I'll be over at the council chamber. I'll be here in the council chamber at 11 o'clock. For the plunge, yes. So I'll be here to look at that. I'm very excited. I'm hoping the numbers come in, it's something we can afford. But in addition to that, I've had now several meetings with, Richard Lundquist, who is on board. We are going to be co-partnering in a capital campaign. So he went out and toured the facility today. We're looking at, a goal of $5 million, for that campaign. So we're hoping, you know, we're hoping, and I'm pretty confident with Richard on board. We've got some good contacts there. So that's moving ahead as well. And then the last item I had was the arts and culture coordinator. So we're kind of in final stages of recruitment right now. We've got some candidates we're considering and looking at. So I hope to do that sooner than later. And other than that, we have just been extremely busy. I feel like, you know, there's always something going on. I want to commend my staff. They've been through a lot of change. They've been through a lot of leadership changes. They've been through a lot of culture changes here in the city, and they've really done a great job. And I'm very, very lucky to have them. So and that concludes my report.
May I? Are the duties or responsibilities changing with the job title change?
No,
Everything stays the same?
basically everything stays the
Still
same.
is over supervisors, all the supervisors?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, yeah, so we have 3 divisions. We have recreation, parks, and library. So the recreation and aquatics, I'm sorry, thank you, Lena. Yes, our 4th new division, which is aquatics. So the recreation manager will oversee the supervisors, clubhouse, checkout, Joslyn.
So it's really just a title change? You're not even changing the job description?
No. I think the only thing that we're changing is that that person had an option to do a 410 schedule, and I am moving them to a 980. I'm on a 980 myself. I'm a big proponent of the 980 schedule. So they will, that's one of the biggest changes. They won't have the option to do a 410.
I had a question on that.
Yeah.
When you said that it was changing to an at-will unrepresented.
Yes.
What does the unrepresented mean?
Means this position is not represented by a union.
It wasn't though anyway, right? That's not a change?
It was, we had it's not a change.
They were management confidential, but they didn't have.
At will.
Like a union bargaining group, and it
Right.
was not at will.
It was not at will before.
Is that a citywide culture policy change?
Yes,
To be
so,
doing that
and
to
I
the management level?
think, and maybe you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that, that has been an effort of the Human Resources Department for a few years now, that as positions are vacating, they're changing some of them to at-will.
I should probably know this, but wasn't that in that will position already? How was it not at will? That was a contracted? That was like a 3-year contract for that superintendent?
No, this was,
That was at will already, wasn't it?
no, it was not an at-will
So it
position.
was a contract?
It was not contract.
So what was it?
I'd have to bring HR in to explain it, but
Yeah,
all
I
it,
don't understand either.
that's what they're changing it. Ryan might know, he knows.
I believe they were grouped, because it was management confidential, but I don't think, like, they had a hired on you, they weren't, like, unionized
Yes.
with you to I have an MOU that we negotiated with city council successful in our group. And so we have representation. I don't believe they had hired on representation for
Yeah.
that particular group.
No, we don't meet. Right.
Now I don't think now they have the opportunity to unionize. I think if you're not at will currently in that group, you can. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think changing it to the at will doesn't allow you to unionize.
Right there, I think he answered it correctly. But yes, it's been a couple years, I think, that they've been starting to transition the positions.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Ally.
Sure.
Commissioner comments, Commissioner Lubes, Dave.
No, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Snoldak, Julie.
I have quite a few things here that I had written down. First of all, I wanted to thank Christopher and how responsive he is when either I phone him or send an email. And in the last few weeks, I had some emails that I sent to him on things that needed to be addressed in town. And one of them, somebody decided to dump a couple of Christmas trees and their trash in Freedom Park, just along Mariposa. And it was posted on Facebook with some photos. Right away, I emailed Christopher, and within just, I would say, an hour or so, all of that was picked up and taken care of. There was also a report on there that the porta potties in Sycamore Park that were still there past Candy Cane Lane, one of them had been pushed over in the park, and I emailed Christopher, and it was taken care of right away. So I want to thank you for always being very responsive, at least to me, and getting things taken care of when they need to be. So thank you on that. I wanted to give a report on the Community Christmas Eve dinner at the Joslin Center. This year, it was hosted by Rex and Park and Library and the El Segundo Rotary Club. We doubled our attendance this year from about, I think it was 41 last year to we had about 80 or 90 people this year. It was very full. Everybody seemed to have a good time. We did 2 games this time. We had a lot of volunteers. And also I did a little thing to recognize Chris Sherrill. I invited her to join us to help serve, but she didn't know that we were going to recognize her as being the founder from 40 years ago of the Christmas Eve dinner. And she had probably served that, and that was on Christmas Day when she was doing it, for 20-some years that she did that. So we wanted to thank her. And I hopefully next year it's not going to double in size again. But it was really a great event, and everybody had a good time. And then I saw in your report that you had put down, Ally, that there was a Candy Cane Lane debrief that was held with the city and residents. And I wanted to know about that because I had contacted each of the council members about residents' concerns. I kind of live in that area. And that I was trying to pull together that we would have a debrief on that. And I didn't get any notification that that was taking place. So, and I don't know what residents were invited or how they were invited. But there are concerns, and dealing with the trash. And I live up a couple of blocks away, but still our parking is taken over, the crowds and everything, and my mom lives just around the corner, and every day we were picking up trash, and there was actually one family on her block on Walnut that the husband and the boys would get out every morning with trash bags and pick up the trash. And yes, there were trash boxes at the corners, but I'm almost to the point where you need to have probably 4 or 5 down the block with big signs of your trash goes here. You know, I mean, people just dump it right along like these people can pick it up, you know. And so I wish I would have known about the debriefing meeting because there were other people that want to participate in that and have suggestions on what needs to be done, because really it's, for the residents around there, it's not fun anymore. You know, it's not fun. you know, there are people that are to the point where they're like, you know, our decorations are being stolen, or people are in our yards, and the trash, and so I think there are definitely things that need to be addressed moving forward, because it's gotten to be out of hand, you know? And it's not enjoyable, and I could look down my hill from Walnut, and it was just a constant stream of lights, just people trying to park, and the loud music, and just everything going on, and it was quite full this year, you know, and it's not enjoyable.
Right.
You know, it's not enjoyable. So I wanted to ask about that. And then the other thing is that came out over the holidays was the tree removal along El Segundo Boulevard from PCH all the way down to ISIS, and that not being addressed publicly by the city beforehand, and a lot of people upset about that. And I think that whether it was council or whether, but we haven't had a meeting for 2 months, there needed to be some type of public awareness that was going to be done. I know when we took the trees out along Main Street, we did have a resident chain herself to one of the trees, and that could have taken place there as well. But I've had so many people come to me and say, what is it with the city taking our trees out? Constantly taking our trees out, cutting these trees down. And I contacted Christopher about it again, you know, and he right away got back to me with an email that it was part of a project and, you know, infrastructure and all this, which I understand, but it wasn't put out to the public. And so the public, there are many people that are very upset about it, and then saying, okay, now are they gonna go down Continental and take out those trees? What's gonna be next? And I think that the city missed an opportunity to make the public aware, and now it kind of looks like the city did it kind of underhanded so that people wouldn't know about it. And, you know, and I think that people should be shown what the plan is and what's going to be put back in there. And hopefully it'll be bigger and better than what it was, you know. And I see that they're working on it now and replacing the curbing and all of that, but to not have an explanation for the community, I don't think was the right way to go about it. And I don't know if council's going to address it or if it's just not going to be addressed. So that's what I had about that, and I'm glad to be back.
Jeanette, before you go, if you don't mind, I'd like to respond to a couple of Commissioner Stolnak's questions, or comments rather. So regarding the tree removal, Christopher, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know that I believe there was some communication put out through the city manager's office. I don't know what it was, but we had this discussion recently. I know that it was part of an infrastructure program that really was not in our shop, not to say that we couldn't have informed people, but we've heard that loud and clear from the residents that they were unhappy. So I know that we're already discussing that at the executive team. What was that? Yes. So there were issues, yeah, and I don't think that was the concern. I think it's more that the residents didn't feel like they were informed, maybe, is what I'm hearing.
Well, it was that, and then, you know, what about the nests? What about the critters that live there? What, you know, and all of that. But I mean, how are you gonna save all of that? But I think it was just, why are we taking out those giant, beautiful trees? And I'm like, they are ficus.
They were, they were destroying the infrastructure.
They're very damaging trees, you know. And, you know, like, look at how it was in Westchester with how damaged those sidewalks were and everything, and we had the damage here. But I think that even though there may have been a report put out by the city manager of an infrastructure, you know, project coming up, that doesn't catch anybody to go, oh, I think I want to look into that. But tree removal, they would be looking into that.
Well, it would be potentially an issue, hot topic.
Exactly. But so many people are so upset about that and not being informed about it. And I understand both sides.
Yeah. We'll,
know?
we'll definitely pass that information along to the city manager's office. We
But
can
I
do
think
that.
if we put something out there of plans of what it's going to look like, you know,
Yeah,
that would be a better way to go.
okay. So, on to Candy Cane Lane debrief. So we have a resident that have been working with for, from what I understand, several years. She is sort of the de facto contact that the city works with on this event. After the event happened, she reached out proactively to the city and asked if she could have a debrief with staff. And that's kind of how that meeting started. So we did talk about all of those issues in the meeting. We talked about the trash, we talked about vendors, we talked about the parking, we talked about all those things that you're bringing up. And so we've already began working at a staff level on a plan for that. I mean, essentially, I've said very clearly to the mayor, I need more resources, we need more money. If we're gonna do this right, then the city needs to, it's gonna cost more. We need to probably have staff out there every night picking up the trash, not hoping the residents will do it. We need more trash cans, we've already talked about that. Ms. Turnbull has sent us a map of where she would recommend. But we have sort of relied on her to be our contact, and I think if there's other residents that wanna be involved, it would be helpful to have them contact my office so that we could get that feedback. Because we're, like I said, we're kind of relying on her, and she's been the one that has stepped up and asked to meet, and, you know, is in communication with us regularly, is in communication with PD regularly. She's kind of the voice we have. But if there's other people, I mean, certainly please have them call us, and we'll you know, be glad to field that.
Okay, and
But
I
that's
think
how
also possibly looking at the length of time that it's held, you know, it's a long time for the residents to put up with all that.
Well, what's funny about that is the request is that we allow it to go longer. So again, I would recommend that if you have residents and neighbors and people that have concerns, they have got to reach out to us, because we are relying on the one resident that's taken the initiative to step up and be involved. If there are others, they're all welcome, definitely.
Right, and I had sent it out, I heard back from 3 of the council people that they were contacting city manager and looking into having a meeting, community meeting of those that wanted to attend. And I know that there are people that want to attend, you know, other than Jennifer living right there on Candy Cane Lane, the people that are in the surrounding blocks that would like to attend and have some complaints. But I have said to people, don't just come with your complaints, come with some solutions.
I think the tricky thing about Candy Cane Lane, I'm sure you'll all understand this, we have people on all sides of the coin. I've got people that want to make it go till the 26th, I think they're asked, 7th, and then we've got others that are like, can we shorten it? We've got others that are like, can we get rid of it? So, but we can definitely do that. One of the things we did talk about was sending out a survey, at least to all the residents, not just on that block, but on the 1100 block and, you know, some of the surrounding areas, just a link to a survey that you could provide your feedback and that. So at the very least, we can do that. What was that? Yes, they said it was much worse this year. Go back down a little bit. We're hoping, yeah, we're hoping, but. Or. Yeah.
Is Ally anything else?
No,
Okay.
I think that was the only questions, yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on to Commissioner Gant. Jeanette?
Yeah, I have just a couple, admittedly very random ones. I had a question about vending in the park. Just walking through Rec Park, I noticed, and it wasn't a huge deal, once or twice, there was a fruit cart vending in the park. So I wanted to see if there, and I know I could probably Google, Muni code about it, and or is there a process or a policy or interest in allowing vendors to do so legally? Because I am assuming that person did not obtain permits, and this is coming from my place of work. The vending has gotten to a dangerous level, so I am bringing that history with me here,
Yeah.
but I just noticed and wanted to ask.
Yeah, so we do actually have a municipal code that prohibits people from vending in the park if we have a contract with another concessionaire, and we do. We have a contract with the Little League, they are a concessionaire, we've got vending machines, so we were able to move that person along.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good to
So,
know.
and I don't think there's a lot of appetite from the council to make it easier for people to vend, but yeah, so that gentleman, that was addressed, and that was our way of doing that is.
Okay.
And they can't be in the park. There are other areas in the community where where
Oh,
he
I've
can
noted-
be.
yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a
noticed.
permit
Yeah.
for that, but
Okay.
yeah, no, we jumped on it right away.
Wonderful. It can get out of hand.
Yes.
And then another one, just when we were talking earlier about the playground and the potential playground renovation, is there a policy or a opportunity for people to donate? Because it's going to be expensive. We're doing playground renovations at my place of work right now. Prices are astronomical. I cannot imagine you're gonna just magically find this. But I know there are a number of people who would be very interested and willing to donate, albeit small amounts. But there's a ton of people who use that playground who want to see renovations. Is there an avenue that they can donate?
Well, yeah, I mean, we can do, like, we're doing a capital campaign for the plunge right now, so, I mean, that's something we could do also is, you know, I think once we get the quotes back from Christopher, see what
Okay.
we've got, see what's manageable, and then maybe look at those options. The tough part is, because we are fundraising for the plunge, and then I'm sure we're gonna fundraise for the rec park
You're tapping people
renovations.
out
We're
quickly.
tapping people,
Yeah.
but it's not to say it can't be done. It could be done, absolutely. And we could have someone in the community that's just, you know, this is their beloved playground, and
Yeah.
they own a business, and they wanna make a sizable donation because of their connection to it. That can also happen.
Definitely. I know so many people use the playgrounds, and even the
Oh, it's
gentleman
packed.
who came here, his like little, it wasn't little, why can I, blanking on the word, he got, petition, thank you, a few
Yes.
hundred signatures, just
Yeah.
very quickly, if we could get each of them to put some money
Yeah.
where the mouth is.
No, it's
Okay.
not a bad idea, so, and I do intend to reach out and connect with that group once we have this
Be
information.
huge advocates.
And bring them
yeah.
in and just at least have a session where we can chat and I can hear and,
You know,
we
and-
can start to brainstorm.
An idea is to sell, you know how we sold those footprints along?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kids' handprints memorialized forever, people
On a
would
playground,
totally
yeah.
pay.
I would pay $100 for
Yeah,
my nephew's
so would
handprint.
I.
so those are all really good ideas.
You know, and that playground gets a lot of use because of the
lot.
co-op.
Right.
Yes.
And
You
I
know, the
see
co-op
all
there.
their fundraising, which I understand they need those funds for, but they do a lot of fundraising activities for themselves, so they would be a great resource to tap as
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well to
definitely.
see maybe if
And
there
it
are
needs,
people.
it needs to be redone. I mean, we talked about, do we just replace this piece? Do we do this? And Christopher really said, gosh, Ally, the playground's, we need to replace it. So that's why he's doing a little bit of a deeper dive.
That's awesome. People are gonna be very grateful for that.
Yes.
Thank you. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chairperson Watson, Kelly.
Nothing other than I want to thank Ryan again for all the work, and Jeanette for all the work on the transportation initiatives.
Okay, thank you. And I'm glad we're back.
We had a lot to cover tonight.
Yes,
what happens
we
when we
did a
miss.
lot.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone. So with that, we're going to staff comments. Linnea?
The only one that I have is the farmer's market numbers did not make it into the report for this quarter, so I got a quick update today. So I just, in short, the average amount of vendors in September were 21 per market with $879 brought in. October was an average of 20 with $955 brought in. November 21 with $885 brought in, and December average of 19 for $883 in as well. So those are average
Those numbers are
numbers
going
based
up.
on the numbers. So.
Nancy's done a fantastic job. That's our farmer's market specialist. She's worked very hard to bring in new vendors and I think she's really passionate about it. So I have to give kudos to her for that. And I expect that we'll keep going up. Huh? Chicken Lady's back.
Okay, thank you. Christopher Henson, Park Superintendent.
Got a couple of updates. You may or may not be aware that Library Park has a project with redoing its walkways to bring it into ADA compliance. And that has gone out to bid, and we're trying to work with the contractor or contractor to be on all the events that we have going on and programs and so forth. So it's going to take some pretty good coordination with that. Another update is the Brett Field restroom. just found out today that the end of January deadline has slipped a bit to February 12th, which hopefully gets us in before opening day. So hopefully that will stay firm. There were some surprises along the way, as you know, it happens with older facilities and so forth. And the last update I have is one of my staff, Eddie Franco. He's a tree trimmer, maintenance worker here. He passed his arborist certification here right before Christmas. So we're really excited about that.
Can I ask a question to Christopher? On the renovation that's going to happen in Library Park, are those pathways going to be replaced with cement, or is it going to be asphalt again?
We're looking at porous concrete. And because of that, because of the grading that's involved and so forth, it triggered a lot of goals, so to speak, or requirements. And we have to basically capture all the water of the park before it goes on to Main Street. And at one time, there was a 4-foot wide trench, the whole length of the park, with the rock cover and so forth, and it just wasn't making any sense, and it wasn't working with the concerts and the showmobile and all these types of things. So one of the options is to make the walkways this porous concrete, so the water will infiltrate into the soil and keep it on site.
Yeah, why I'm asking is not only walking in there myself, but sometimes I've taken my mom there to walk, and you know, a lot of those pathways are like convex, you know, they're this way, and with the asphalt, it makes them rather tricky to walk on. And so I think if they're going to be flat and be a porous concrete is going to be better than what we have now with that asphalt, because I look at some of them are kind of a fall potential the way that they are graded there.
Right, right. It will be flat and smooth and true grade.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. Ally?
I have already shared all my information.
So there are no more comments.
There are no more comments from the director tonight.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll adjourn to the February 21st, 2024 meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.